Hey, this is Les from the TV Dudes. As part of our coverage of ATX Television Festival Season 8, I was lucky enough to chat Katie Aselton. You know her as Jenny MacArthur on The League, and we talk about the reunion, what she thought when she first auditioned, how fun it is to have people incorrectly correct you online, and much more. I hope you enjoy. So I'm Les from the TV Dudes, and I'm lucky enough to sit down with Katie Aselton from The League. Now you played Jenny, who was just the whole show is hysterical. I can't imagine, there's no character on the show that doesn't step up to the full ensemble. I don't think that there's any side characters particularly on the show. Everybody is hysterical, and the whole ensemble functions so well. Looking back on it now, what do you remember about first seeing the script, and what kind of show did you think you were in for?
That's a great question. I don't know, because I actually don't even remember, our scripts weren't scripts because it's so improvised. So our scripts were treatments. Every scene would be a couple paragraphs with some major points that we had to hit. And I didn't know the guys. We had met during our chemistry test. I mean, I knew my husband. Well, my real life husband, who happens to be cast as Pete, not my husband on the show. Thank God I didn't know who they were. I had no idea, the comedy powerhouses that they were. I had no idea that Paul and Mantzoukas had come up through, the early stages of UCB. I had no idea that Steve had years of stand-up experience. I had no idea that John LaJoie's internet prowess was what it was, and that Nick was as brilliantly funny as he was. I thought he was like the caveman from the Geico show. Remember when they made the Geico commercial?
My arguments with people of that's one of the cavemen from the Geico Caveman TV show.
And I was like, well, that's not intimidating. That's fine. I was on an episode of The Office. Whatever. Right. We're the same. Thank God I didn't Google any of them. So we all sort of came into this under the guidance of Jackie and Jeff Schaffer, coming from Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm, trusting his comedy genius, and that's truly what it is. The way his brain works is just miraculous. And it just felt, I don't know, I can't tell you what it felt like reading the script, because I think it's also the first TV show I had ever booked, a pilot. So we just sort of all went into it just real earnest and open, and it just worked. I don't know how it did, and I don't know what it was, but it was somehow, and I really do credit Jackie and Jeff with this, the grouping of those actors together, and they knew what they were doing. We did, our chemistry reads were tests that I've never done before, where, normally if you're testing for a show, particularly a network show, they get their big star attached, and then you go in and you read in front of executives with that big star, and that big star already knows who they want to cast, so they either give you a good read or a bad read, or that is just sort of what that experience is. This was not that. This was Jackie and Jeff met with a ton of actors individually, figured out, got a sense of what their personalities were, kind of handpicked, and there were some people who read for things as well, but really handpicked the people that they liked, and then they put us in rooms together and just what's the cup game where they move the cups around, where they just move, is it Rochambeau?
Yeah, shell game, yeah.
Yeah, they just mixed and matched us, and they made sure that every single one of us worked together. And then we did. And then we did for 7 years, which was crazy.
Do you feel like it spoiled you a little bit on how TV shows work?
Absolutely. It spoiled us, and we in the middle of it also sort of acted like spoiled brats. You kind of don't realize how good you have it, and then you go to another show and you're like, what? You have to learn all of these lines? We're just improvising and having a blast, and not to make it sound easy at all, it wasn't. It was very challenging in its own way, but then to go on to I went from The League to Legion. Noah Hawley, who is word perfect.
Yeah, I was about to say, not as much improvisation.
Not there, it is they are. And you will stand in this spot and you will not move. And it is like different, awesome, great, different.
Yeah.
And we had just so much freedom. Like on the league, we had so much freedom. If we had an idea, we shot it out, we yelled out a scene. If someone was like, this line doesn't feel right for me, tell Katie to do this line. And like that's just how it was. Like it was just like everyone was sort of in it to make a fun show.
I remember when I first started watching it, and I hear this a lot from friends of mine, they'll recommend the league to people with a caveat of like, I watched the league, it's great, I hate sports, or I don't play fantasy football. And I was telling Jeff, it's kind of like describing Laverne and Shirley as a show about beer bottle factory workers. Like, that's not what that show's about, you know?
Or I think it would be like describing Laverne and Shirley as a chick show.
Yeah.
You know? Where it's really not.
And I think when I first sat down to League, I had this kind of chip on my shoulder assumption of it's a bro show or something like that. And I remember really being sold on it when I realized that Jenny could outdo all the boys. She could give as much as they did and just floor them when she wanted to.
Yeah.
And that really impressed me that like, oh, this whole cast is like this. This whole show, like she didn't marry into this group of friends and then like, oh my God,
she
what have I done?
like that.
Yeah. She's there because she's there too.
Yeah. It's really like my dream come true as the youngest of 4 kids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's real wish fulfillment for me.
Do you remember any jokes on the show or any days of filming where you really had to work to make the joke work, where you knew it was going to be funny?
For sure. Like, and that's why Jeff is there every moment. Like he never left set. Like everything, and I can't even say that I was one of the minds. Like, but Nick and Paul and Steve, that is what we would bang a joke until we found how it rang. Like you just kept hitting it, and there would be something there, and you knew there was. And we would also just as easily, like, there's no ego. Like, if I'm saying a line, and I'd be like, Jeff, this isn't funny. Like, how do we make this funny? What is funny about this? Let me say it a different way. We worked everything until it was funny. It didn't always come out funny at first.
Did you have any particular days where it broke everybody, where you just couldn't get it back together?
Yeah, there was that scene where Jason Mantzoukas is talking about, and they're talking about, like, where Ruxin reveals that Michael Jackson died, and Jason cannot pull his shit together. Michael Jackson's dead? What? And he goes on this whole tear and he's crying, and Nick just goes off into a corner and he just turns and you can just see his body. And then the other one, and this one pissed the shit out of me. We were shooting that stuff on the beach. It was like it was a season premiere when you meet Adam Brody's character.
Yes.
And I can't even fucking, it was so cold. It was so cold that day. And we're in swimsuits by the ocean. And we're standing there, and Paul's going, I'm gonna man up. I'm just gonna man up. And Nick, again, breaks. And he has got tears coming down his eyes. And he's trying to turn away. And I am saying that, I'm like, I fucking hate you. I am so mad at you. I'm gonna kill you. You break in one more take. It's so cold. Every muscle in my body is clenched. And you can see I'm just like
Trying to not shake on camera.
trying not to shake. And that fucker just kept laughing.
And for me at home, it's got to just look like a sunny day on the beach.
Totally.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, Ruxin's got a sunburn. He's so red.
It's just him.
It's just him laughing.
Oh, that's too good. I couldn't help overhear when y'all were talking to TV Guide a second ago about people.
Sorry, I'm dying.
Oh, that's right. About people correcting you on quotes from the show.
Zipper. If one more person says shit zipper to me, that doesn't even make sense.
Make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Why would you say shit zipper?
Yeah. Like, when you said it, I was like, who got that wrong?
Everyone. All of Twitter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it really bugs me.
Do you have a particular favorite joke that you still find coming up from the league in your conversation?
Oh.
Or anything that you went, that probably shouldn't have worked its way into the lexicon?
I mean, there's a lot. Eskimo brothers, like,
that's just in the world now.
People say that.
Yep, that's just a thing.
Like, I've sent things to Jeff and Jackie where I'm like, so-and-so said Eskimo brothers today.
Utterly disconnected from the show, yeah.
It was on The Bachelor. Like, people say it.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes, yeah, there's some of those that I forget originated as league jokes.
Yes. That's weird to me.
Have you had a most surprising, like, be at your cousin's wedding and somebody say a league line or
My most surprising, honestly, is taking like very high level meetings with like studio executives who are like older, wearing very grown up clothes, and they'll be like, "Oh, I love the league." Like, what? Why? Or now, I mean, I have an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old, so like their parents all watch the league, and that is super weird to me because there were times I wasn't wearing a lot of clothes, and now I'm just like, and not saying good things and not doing good things.
Yeah, you're
like,
not the
but
greatest.
could your kid come over for a sleepover?
I'm not Jenny, I promise.
Jenny and Pete would love to have them.
Yeah, Jeff was talking about hearing from friends that like they're watching it with their kids. I mean, like, how old's your kid? Like 11? Like, maybe that's going to burn you in their teen years.
That's not all right.
I don't think they need to learn all of these lines.
It's too much.
I can't thank you enough for taking out time today.
So nice. Thank you for wanting to talk about it.
Yeah.
After all these years.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Permanent Record Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, please go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @tvdudes and help us out on iTunes by giving us a 5-star rating and writing a review. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and permanentrcrd.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.